Hey friends, welcome back to the Guitar Max channel. And a few weeks ago, I made a video about the new Jackson Pro Origins 1985 series. And this was these really cool 80s inspired kind of throwback models that Jackson released. And I honestly can say at this point, I made a huge mistake because in that video, I looked at pictures of the guitars, I read the specs, I looked at the price, and I made up my mind about the guitar without ever having touched one. And now that I actually have one, I can confidently say that I was completely wrong in that initial video. Now this one right here is really in my favorite color of all the different colors that they released, the candy apple red, kind of metallic red option. This guitar looks beautiful, the black hardware, the maple fretboard and neck, and then that beautiful color on the body. But they have several other colors as well, a couple of different fretboard materials to choose from, and they have one that's even like a black-white paint job on the body. But despite the different looks, all the guitars kind of have similar specs. And the prices are also kind of similar. They're not exactly the same. This one here goes for $12.59, and I think the black-white one was a little bit more expensive, but they're all, you know, like $1,100 to $1,500, right in that range there. And honestly, in the initial video, that was my big problem with the guitars. I thought, well, these are cool guitars. I like the idea of Jackson doing 80s throwback models, but given the specs that the guitars had, I thought they were kind of overpriced. And so I was comparing the guitars to like some of the models from Schecter, things like that, where I felt like, well, you can kind of get the same features, but for less money with these other models. And the other thing is, despite Jackson being an iconic American guitar brand, these models are made in Mexico, so it's not like you're expecting to pay premium prices for the Made in USA stamp. But look, here's the thing. Now, after having actually held one in my hands and looked at it with my own eyes and played it with my own hands, I've changed my mind. I think these guitars actually are worth the money, and in fact I think they're a really good addition to the Jackson lineup, and I hope they do more of these kind of retro models. There's two big reasons why I changed my mind on this after having played the guitar. One is the feel and the playability of the guitar, and the other thing is the immaculate fit and finish on this guitar. The build quality on this guitar, in terms of like the paint job and just the way the whole thing is put together, it's absolutely flawless. I have searched just all over this guitar, you know, every little nook and cranny, like where the recessed cavity covers go into the back. You know, sometimes the lines around that are not perfectly straight. I've looked for any just tiny blemish in the paint, maybe something wrong with the finish on the neck, or where the paint, you know, the painted headstock ends around the maple of the neck and everything. I've looked for just every place that I could think of where there would be a problem with the finish or just some aesthetic issue like that, and I have found absolutely nothing. And I've really been looking. And honestly, even with today's guitar building standards, the manufacturing has really stepped up a lot in the past like 10 years. Even with that higher expectation, you would still think that you would find at least something, especially on an import guitar like this, but there is absolutely nothing. This guitar is perfect. Now, spec-wise, real quick, they went with some nice classic 80s choices, right? It's an alder body. Of course, it's a maple neck and fretboard. We're not doing any modern roasted woods or anything like that. It's a Floyd Rose 1000 series. These pickups here, these are covered pickups. They're not active pickups. These are still passive pickups, just with, you know, the plastic covers on them. And then a very simple control layout with a three-way toggle switch between the volume and tone controls, you know, tone there and single volume. No coil splitting, nothing like that. Very straightforward, simple control layout like you would expect to find on a Super Strat from the 80s. Now, there are actually two things about this guitar that I don't really care for, but they are such minor things. I don't think it's anything that really knocks the guitar down in terms of the value that you're getting with this guitar. And we'll go ahead and get into the demo, and then we'll talk more about those things after the demo. again, like I said, these are super nitpicky, minor things that I don't like. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into the demo now so you can hear more of how the guitar sounds, and then we'll talk more about it later. And real quick, guys, as always, if you enjoy videos like this, checking out cool new guitars and staying up on all the latest news in the guitar universe, and you have not already subscribed, please consider subscribing right now. Okay, let's plug this back in and listen to how it sounds. Okay, guys, let's talk more about this. So, the Jackson Pro Origins 1985 in the candy apple red, beautiful metallic red color. One thing that I kind of haven't really changed my mind on, which is, I know this is going to sound weird, but the sound of the guitar. It sounds pretty much like you would expect it to. The pickups are not super hot, which is kind of an interesting choice. Obviously, most modern heavy metal pickups are super, super high output. These ones really are not. And that does a couple things. One is, if you're if you're trying to like down tune or play modern metal on this guitar, it's probably not going to work out really well in terms of the sound of the guitar, because these pickups do not have the clarity that modern pickups do. However, the tone they produce is very nice, very warm, and just very pleasant sounding. So I think this guitar lends itself best to 80s playing. It being an 80s throwback guitar, of course, that's perfect. But just don't expect that this guitar is going to handle all of your gent, modern metal riffs and everything. Okay, now when it comes to the playability of the guitar, it's fantastic. The neck profile on this guitar is wonderful. It's a slim D shape. It's very thin. It has the compound fretboard radius, so it's rounder down here and flatter up here, and just a very, very smooth neck. It's got the satin finish on the neck, which I absolutely love. The neck alone is really something to write home about. It's a super, super comfortable, smooth playing neck. Now, there is one little minor thing with the frets, and that is simply that, like some of the other Fender products these days, they seem to spray the finish on the neck over the frets. You know, they put the frets on the wood of the fretboard first, and then they spray the finish over the neck, and so that leaves some residue, in particular around the corners, like where the fret meets the fretboard. I saw that recently on a Fender Ultra Luxe Stratocaster that I reviewed, very, very high-end model, had the same thing. It does not affect the playability at all because the tops of the frets are totally clean. You know, that's the part that actually touches the string and that you're bending on and everything. So it doesn't affect the playability or the sound, but you can see it if you look closely. And it kind of bothers me a little bit, but I think maybe that's just a personal preference. Okay, now let's talk about the two things that I don't really like about this guitar, but again, these are such minor things. One is the toggle switch, it being between the knobs and in line with the knobs. I wish the toggle switch was just in a slightly different location, because as I'm playing this, I find myself, I keep like hitting the volume knob when I go to reach for the toggle switch. It's also a pretty stiff toggle switch. So to switch to a different pickup position, you really got to go out of your way. You got to reach over the volume knob, don't hit the tone knob, and then really force it into that other position. That's just how it is. That's just the design. But yeah, I do kind of wish that maybe the toggle switch was like down here, like they put the two knobs closer together and then the toggle switch further down. Or personally, I would just love it. Just get rid of the tone knob completely and then put the toggle switch in place of the tone knob. I think that's what I would really like. So look guys, those are the only two things that I can find to complain about this guitar. The location of the toggle switch and the fact that there is a little bit of finish residue on the bases of the frets. So talk about nitpicking here, right? But look guys, everything else about the guitar I absolutely love. And it's not just like a vintage throwback guitar, it's better than vintage, right? Because it's new construction and you've got a nice proven, you know, a Floyd Rose 1000 series. It's not the Floyd Rose Special or any of that stuff, right? It's a really proven design on the bridge, and if something weird happened where you had to replace some parts or something, you can easily do that thanks to the modern availability of all of the parts that they used on this guitar. So, you know, you're not stuck trying to find a saddle from a 30-year-old Kaler bridge or something bizarre like that. Overall, I think they did a really good job with these guitars. And this one here, I really, really love this guitar. And yeah, $12.59. I think it comes with a gig bag, you know, not a hard case, but a gig bag. Better than nothing, I guess. It's just a reality that we just have to face. I mean, the guitar prices of the days gone by are long gone. And I've done a lot of videos lately about Japanese guitars, right? Because I remember in the early 2000s, you could buy a Japanese-made Jackson for like $500, $600 in that price range. Not used, I'm talking that was the new price, right? And they were great guitars. Now if you look at the Japanese-made Jacksons, they're like $2,000, sometimes even more than that. That's just, the prices have gone up a lot. So yes, $12.59, $1,300. Sure, it's a lot of money for a guitar, but this is a great, great guitar. And although it pains me to say it, I was wrong in that first video, and I have changed my mind. And now, I think this is pretty darn cool and a great guitar that I'm proud to have in my collection. Okay guys, that is it. Let me know what you think about this guitar down in the comments section below. And in particular, these guitars have been out for a few months now, so if anybody has bought one of these guitars, what has your experience been like? What do you think of the guitar? Let us know down in the comments section below. As usual, I'm going to have links for everything I was talking about in the video. I will have a link to the guitar as well as the Boss IR200 amp and cabinet simulator that I was using in the demo. Thanks a ton for watching. If you enjoyed the video, thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll talk to you very soon.